So let's get into it.
I've made every single one of my clients cry.
Telecoms, sales.
HR is about creating environments where people feel safe.
Are you asking me why social media just moves so quickly?
What the hell's going on with the bank?
Can we move on?
It's not something that I want to put out there.
I would put it out there.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's very nice having you both on. Just start off briefly by giving us a very quick synopsis on what PAX8 is and what this entire beautiful event that we're at is.
Yeah, of course. So firstly, thanks very much for having us.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about PAX8 is when we were founded, we were focused purely on cloud play. So no physical product, all about recurring revenue and SaaS services. In that model, as I'm sure most people can now appreciate, the ongoing engagement and the value that partners expect from a provider is fundamentally different to that when you're just shipping hardware. A lot of emphasis on lifetime value and a lot of emphasis on providing an experience that basically offsets the opportunity for an MSP or a partner to every 30 days review where they procure their services from. Over the last kind of 18 months, and really it was kicked off at Flagship in Denver in June this year, we're looking to position ourselves as a marketplace. Now, we've got some serious work to do in educating the market on what a marketplace means and how we can kind of remove that traditional legacy tagline.
Which has sometimes a bad reputation.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, right. And sometimes when we call and we say, hey, we do all of these things for you, they're like, well, I've heard that from 10 other people in the last week alone, right?
Yeah.
So being able to cut through that. And look, I think that brings us nicely on to where we are here today. I mean, Beyond Berlin is our inaugural event in EMEA. We've been able to get just over 500 registrations. So my team, big tick in their box for driving registrations.
Awesome.
Big up the marketing team as well for driving that. But we're here as per the three pillars of our events. It's about innovation, education, and crucially community. We want to be able to bring together like-minded MSPs or even value-added resellers, no matter where they may be on their journey, and create an ecosystem where they can connect. And by proxy of that, we will drive the innovation with the products in the marketplace, and then we will also support with the education and enablement that drives a partner forward. So hopefully that was brief enough for you.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Thank you. The community thing is the thing that gets me because I never believe in competitors, right? I've never believed that any other MSP is a competitor to me because everybody does something a little bit different and you can work with people in collaboration, in community, and everybody can prosper. I was at one of your events earlier this week back in Bristol, and I met two partners. We don't do pen testing. I met a PAX8 partner. We farm it out to a very large corporate company to do, and it's a pain in the ass. We've spoken to a PAX8 partner now who's in Scotland, and they're going to do our pen testing.
Amazing.
We spoke to another partner who's based in the middle of London. They have no hardware repair desk at all. We have a full-fledged hardware repair desk. They're shipping all their hardware to us. We're going to repair it and ship it back to their clients. Bits that we don't do, we can go and find partners that will do it, and vice versa. And the community bit, which is the bit that's got me with PAX8. That's why I say you can cut my arm off and it's PAX8 through like a stick of rock, because it is the community side of it. It's bringing the MSPs together.
Yeah.
And you've heard so much of that, right, over the course of the couple of days. Everyone that I've spoken to has talked a lot about just being together, hanging out together, learning from each other. The community bit and the education bit that's all the value add. We're not just selling you software. It's about that. It's about bringing people together to grow businesses together.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think one of the reasons why we moved to PAX8 originally was because we'd heard that from all the other distributors out there. Yeah, we're going to do this for you, and we're going to do that for you, and we're going to do... And actually, what they wanted to do was keep all of the managed service providers kind of split apart because we don't want you talking to this other MSP because they've got a different deal to you and different pricing, and we can't have and the whole divide and conquer thing, which you guys don't seem to do. The divide and conquer, it is all about community. How can we build together, and how can we do it together?
Right.
You find that, and I know you're here. I watched you on the Women in Tech panel. Your Women in Tech is hard, right? Because there's not a lot of you, right? As we saw by all the stats. How do you find it working with all of these guys who, how do you find your pathway in tech? How do you find it?
I mean, look, we talk about it a lot. And even when I was asked to moderate that session, I was like, do we still need sessions like this? Because it's changed so much. I've been in tech since 2009. I was originally with a startup business that was acquired by NVIDIA, and I've been in tech ever since. And it's changed massively even since then. So. But there's still work to do. But don't get me wrong, we're great at Pax8. We've got like a 50-50 leadership team now. So it's brilliant. I don't feel isolated as a woman these days like I did in
Do you see that across the board with your vendors and with your MSPs and your partners and stuff as well? Or is that...
And that's the point. That's the work that still needs to be done, right? It's that natural kind of bit. Because I think what we find, and there's a fashion that women in tech tend to be in those supporting functions. And often you don't get, I'm legal, and you don't normally bring me in until you're at a certain stage. So it's like, as the companies get bigger, that's when they need to be thinking about it. And really the importance is, you want that diversity of view in the business. You want that diversity of perspective. And you can get that in a support function and working around, and just being around other types of people. And it's changing all the time, but there's a lot we need to do to bring women in earlier and keep pushing them through and getting them into those leadership positions so that they can see themselves there in the future. And that takes a proactive decision to do that, I think, for a lot of...
Are you guys going to be doing any initiatives with your partners on trying to help them change that in the market and bring more females into tech roles? Like my SOCO over at Pax8 is absolutely freaking amazing. I won't name her, but she's absolutely freaking awesome. Are you going to be working with partners to try and kind of help them, steer them in that way? Because it is community and you guys are...
Yeah, I think it'd be disingenuous for me to sit here and say, yes, we've got an intentional plan for that. But I think the way in which Pax8 works is we're here to serve our partners. And partners are powered by people. I know we can talk about AI moving forward, but even with that, we're going to be complemented by people. So look, today, maybe we don't have anything structured or programmatized to drive that, but without opening the canvas to say, hey, we'll do everything.
I think leading by example, I suppose.
Right, exactly. So I think it's important. I think if there's an opportunity for us to work with partners, if they see that as a challenge, but also an opportunity in the business, and we've got experience ourselves as a tech business and leveraging our community and our resources, then hey, let's collaborate on that. We're more than happy to.
But that's also why that session on the first night to kick everything off is really important. And I made the point during that session, it's not about lip service, it's about starting that conversation. We're having this conversation now as a result of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and I know that we've had sessions going on with Debbie Clement, for example, who's our talent acquisition global VP, and she's it's all about those conversations that we're starting to put forward. And for me, we talked about the value of Pax8 as a marketplace, and it's all those additional value pieces. And you're going to see a bit of an evolution of the academy now as we steer more into those supporting roles and supporting functions of how do you address issues like this and getting yourself ready, not just to resell certain tools and certain things, but all of this additional stuff. So I think you'll see more of it just naturally coming along.
Which is brilliant. It's one of the things. So I was at the session that they were doing about the new categories. Is that what we're calling them? I suppose the Titan, the Galactic,
Voyager Alliance.
The Voyager Alliance. Sorry, thank you. And how the partner, the advisory board.
I love the advisory board. When you hear back from partners what they actually care about and what they want to hear about. I joined a session when I was talking a lot about the privacy stuff, and getting that feedback that they actually really care about this stuff is so valuable. The thing I love most about the Voyager Alliance is that we can then start thinking about dedicated content that applies to those different tiers. Because I noticed that when I joined some of the academy sessions that you've got such a mixed range of people and partner sizes in there, and not everything is going to apply to all of them.
Different places on their journey.
Right. We need to meet them where they're at. And by having them in these tiers, we can be like, already know the kind of content that's going to be better for you. And that's a game changer going forward. So it really helps us to give better services because we understand where
if I'd have had that. So we're 16 years old. We celebrate our birthday on Wednesday, right? Thank you very much. But if I'd have had that sort of stuff at the inception of my company or a few years into my company, I'd be in a whole different place to what I am now.
Right.
I mean, we've grown, we're growing day by day, but that there wasn't that, or there hasn't been that before, that actually we want to help lift you up. We want to give you the right things depending on where you are on your journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the same with, you mentioned AI. AI is a massive thing, right?
Huge.
If
you didn't notice.
No, if you didn't notice and you haven't heard, there is this little thing called AI. actually freaked me out. So I use lots of different AIs. So I use Copilot and ChatGPT.
Love it.
If you use ChatGPT, put a prompt into your ChatGPT that says, what do you know about me that I don't know about myself from our past interactions? I will show you off camera what the result was. It's scary.
I bet.
It's like you look at it and you go, crap, that's it. It knows my intention. So when you read it,
I've got some questions.
it's got like my intention and why I do things. And it's like, and it's so scarily close. It's like really weird.
I actually love that. And do you know what? So I work, because I'm in privacy, right? There's this idea about using data in certain ways.
Yep.
But the difference for me with having AI and tools like that is that now you've got almost this democratization of data, right? Which means you can put something in your search and have something that's actually genuinely helpful to you as an individual. It used to be that my data was sold to sell me things, whereas now I've got a tool that actually might help me out on a particular day about how I'm feeling about something. So you're really starting to see that ROI as an individual and how your data is being used.
You guys have pushed it out, haven't you, across the board to your team?
Yeah.
How are your team? How have you seen like more efficiency, more productivity? Have you seen it benefit them?
So look, I think so. You're right. 1,800 employees globally have all got access to Copilot. I think that's a significant commitment, both to Microsoft, our partner, but also to live the things that we say to partners. Right? We work in technology. We want to be evolving. We want to be thinking about ways in which we can leverage technology to do things better. We have to be that kind of customer zero, as Microsoft would say it. Look, I think at this stage, there are pockets within the organization that are demonstrating clear, tangible use cases and being able to quantify efficiencies on output, input, whatever it may be. But I think it's also reasonable to say that we're still kind of defining, especially those role-specific use cases. And I'll be honest with you, whilst I sit here as a technology sales leader, I am more of a sales leader than I'm a technologist. So I need that support, especially when it comes to change management. I can see the benefits. I understand that, but humans are creatures of habit, right? We resist change. We want to do the things that we're comfortable with, irrespective of whether you can see a benefit. So I'm a classic example of, look, I've got the tool, I'll go in there a couple of times and play around with it, but I just need that little bit of help to say, hey, start using 2 or 3 prompts and this could kind of change the way in which you do the work,
IT companies that can help you with that.
Do you?
There's some good MSPs.
I think I know a few as well, you know that.
I tell you what else we're doing as well. We're trying to build communities within the different teams so that you can share really good use cases of Copilot. Because once you start, to your point, Aaron, when you start playing around with it and it does a thing that's pretty cool, you tell someone else that does this thing, and then it kind of shares that. The new the wave 2 has been amazing. It's kind of just gone up again, right? I use Copilot all the time, and one of my favorite things to use it for is a first draft of contract, right?
Oh, nice.
Because if I ask it to do it, there's often standard forms floating around that you can use, but actually just getting it to do that first draft, it's never the draft you're going to run with, but it gets your brain working. You edit it. So we're becoming editors, right, rather than drafters.
Yeah, 100%.
And it instead of staring at a blank screen for however long until it finally
getting
start
past
typing,
that writer's block to go, where do I start?
Fires up that first draft, and it's varying degrees of quality depending on how your prompts are, but then it gives you something to start with. And I'm using it more and more every day.
Yeah, me too.
If legal can use it, I think anyone can use it, really.
There you go. So legal can use it. So therefore,
I almost feel like I'm being called out there.
Just a little bit.
Set up your Copilot game. Yeah.
We've got in my company for my engineers, we've got a SharePoint site that's got our best prompts in it. So when an engineer sorts out a prompt and it's like, that really worked well.
Saving them.
Save it into there. Everybody's got access to it, and they're like categorized down, and we can go, there's a good prompt for this, or there's a good prompt for that, just to, because we are going to become prompt engineers.
It takes a bit of practice, right? To
Yeah,
get it right. Definitely.
And you know what? As primitive as maybe as romantic as it may sound, that's the benefit of these types of events, right?
Yeah.
When it's not about necessarily sitting down and being intentional. Like, what do you do in your place of work that's really beneficial? It's kind of that being able to have conversations around curated sessions and say, hey, this is how we leverage Copilot. This is how we share, not just within our business, but how we can share best practice across industry as well.
100%.
Because there is so much opportunity and look, it's not just a partner play, it's the customer play. We're here to serve customers, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The more we can share that best practice, the better, the more democratic that win can be for everybody else.
Yeah. Have you seen a big uptake in small to medium sized businesses looking at Pax8? So across, not Pax8, for Copilot. So MSPs there a lot of licenses going out the door? I don't mean number specific, but is there a use case? Are people actually like really pushing it and using it?
So it's like anything, right? There's always early adopters and innovators that will push the envelope and will want to do that. So there are certain customers. I couldn't sit here and talk to you about specific demographics or verticals, but of course there are always those that first out want to try.
In the world we live in at the moment, for any small business, communication is key. Being able to talk to your clients and for your clients to be able to get hold of you on a phone to have a conversation is a massive thing for all small businesses. With that in mind, TCCB have partnered with Cinch Telecoms to be able to offer you a discount on your telecom solution for the first year that you have with Cinch Telecoms. Please follow the link in our description below so that you can reach out and communicate with Cinch Telecoms and quote TCCB 10, seen in the bottom of the screen, to the representative you talk to. That will enable 10% discount for being one of our viewers on any of the Cinch solutions. Now, enjoy the rest of the podcast.
I think what we are seeing is that there is a clear trend, and where we're aligned with Microsoft is we need to enable the partner. The partner is customer zero. If the partner doesn't fully embrace and understand the use of Copilot, their ability to then go and drive those benefits into the end user are going to be severely diminished, right? So the role that Pax8 plays, because we are a channel first, channel only organization. Yes, we will support our partners with their customer conversations, but our role is to enable the MSP, the partner. So we need to stand up programs that allow our MSPs to understand, look, because it's not just about the technology, it's change management, right? Education, adoption, enablement, and these things take time. So what we're seeing at the moment, there's an absolute curiosity. I think there's an element of fear and uncertainty in there as well.
So. Everybody's just scared that it's going to become Skynet and take over the world.
I mean,
we never know.
Right, depending on how many beers you've got at the bar, you might think that later. But I mean, I think natural curiosity, and I think what Microsoft have done with Copilot, especially in the way that it's available in pretty much all packages now across the M365 suite, they've kind of provided it at scale. So I think as we continue throughout the year, and Michelle said it just now, we're already seeing a next phase of Copilot. And Scott Chasen, our CEO, very recently said, look, this will be the worst version of Copilot that you see. It's only going to improve. So I think adoption is low, but curiosity is high.
And it's going up all the time. Like people are, I think once they start engaging with the tool and working with it, it's like a game changer. And it is, I think that what's different about Copilot is that you're not just going, hey, here's the tool that will be great for this thing you already do. It's, you're teaching people again about a whole new way of working.
Completely new.
So we're, you know, to our point earlier, is our job isn't just to talk about Copilot, it's to talk about AI generally, because you're getting them over the line of that fear of AI generally. And Copilot is a great like entry way to get into it because it's so easy to use. And as you toggle between, you know, new Teams and new Outlook and switch that functionality on, it's like whenever you implement a new tool, right? It takes a bit of time to get used to it. There's functionality you miss because it was so easy because you just know how to do it. It takes you a short amount of time to get used to it, and then you don't look back because it is so game changing for your day to day.
It's a bit like, I suppose, the cloud, if we go back a little bit to cloud adoption.
Right.
It's the same kind of, so I know pre-pandemic, I had loads of clients that like to stroke their server that's in their office so they know their data
shiny?
is there, and it's like, go to cloud. No, don't go to cloud. I won't go to cloud. And then pandemic hit and everybody went, oh, you know, those conversations we've been having for 2 years, can we go to cloud tomorrow, please? So it's like that. It seems as though it might be a little bit slower with Copilot, the adoption, because they don't kind of understand it.
I think that the example of bringing cloud to it is really interesting. I was having this conversation with my colleague earlier this week. I think the fundamental differences I see, I think there's similarities. I think the fundamental differences I see is if you're a frontline worker, it doesn't matter what industry, what demographic, excuse me, the move to the cloud didn't really impact your day to day. Okay, yeah, you may have greater availability and access to services because it's always on 24/7. But if you're a business owner, decision maker, IT, it was huge, right? Because you've no longer got that piece of physical tin. The difference that I see it with something like Copilot's example, it has the propensity to fundamentally change the role and the way in which someone works, every frontline worker. So I think the opportunity for Copilot to be far more pervasive from a positive perspective to change the way in which individuals go and consume and do their best work probably takes it a little bit higher in terms of the level of disruption that we see from kind of on-prem to cloud, what we saw in the early 2010s.
It also means you've got a lot more people to convince, right, to get on board with it. Whereas, it wasn't just, your support team that needed to make that decision. You need to get everyone in the business embracing it, understanding it, and knowing how to use it. The communities to
and if I can on that, because you raise a very, very good point. What we have seen in the first 3 months is that it is not what I would call your IT director or IT managers making these decisions. You need to enable the C-suite. The C-suite need to see those benefits, and they need to realize them soon. And it's not about necessarily quantifying the amount of time that's going to be saved on a particular task. It's actually about thinking about, okay, what are the benefits of using this over a weekly or a yearly basis to be able to realize that ROI? So you want to get it in front of the C-suite as early as possible. And ideally, you want to be able to wrap a change management program around that as well, to say, hey, this is how you used to work. This is how you now do it. And then really drive that.
I must get asked at least once a week by clients and end users, is AI going to take my job? Is AI going to? It's like, no, it's a tool at the moment. It's a tool. We haven't got to AGI. We haven't got super intelligence. It's a tool like any other tool. You need to learn how to use it. The thing that will take your job is the person that knows how to use it and goes for your job, not the actual AI itself.
I think that's right. I think one of the things that, how many of us, right, have got a to-do list that we never quite get to the bottom of us? Like, none of us are totally...
Mine's super long.
Right. We're never completely on top of our work, right? And that's, right now, Copilot gives you that edge. It's those little quick wins throughout the day that mean that you're now head above water. I can get some stuff done.
Yeah.
It's,
frees up some time in your diary to go, actually, I can do this now.
Yeah. And then letting you get on with the more strategic, visionary stuff that you want to be doing instead of the sort of administrative tasks that you might be stuck with.
Yeah, that's why you mentioned wave 2 earlier on. The Copilot agents for us is going to be a game, because in the MSP industry, if we can use agents to do the mundane, the stuff that is the same and it's boring, and actually if I could cut that out of my engineers' time during the week, I could use that time for more beneficial things, like rolling out different services, like being able to use that time for them to go and do education and go, look, use that. We've saved you an hour this week. Go and use that hour and spend it on education. Spend it in the academy, for instance, about say, learn stuff.
Yes.
I think that's the thing I think we found in the conversations we've been having. So I've got 3 clients which have been ahead of the curve, and because we've been touting Copilot since it came out. And I've got 3 clients that have gone, okay, what can it do with me? And to your point, we put it in front of the C-suite and gave it to the C-suite. Where we're changing or doing something different is a lot of our clients have gone, I don't want to pay an annual fee. That's really expensive. So what we're doing as an MSP is we're buying the licenses. They're tied in for 12 months. They're with us for God knows how long. We're dividing that down over a monthly period. We pay the upfront cost. They then pay us on a monthly period. Yes, there's a little bit more margin on it, obviously, because they're going to keep it, but it's putting it in front of them. And then they're going, oh, well, actually, now we've got it. Yeah, can we roll? I had the email last week from a director of a company who went, we've all played with it. Roll it out to my entire team.
Love it.
I was like, brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah. It is that kind of game changer.
And you've got that much confidence in it. And we do, we rolled out surveys. So everyone that was given early access had a survey to fill in on how much time has it saved you? How much would you pay for this monthly? And that's the decision to roll it out to everybody in the business was off the back of those surveys.
Yeah.
So that went down well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And
I don't know the exact numbers. It'd be interesting to know, wouldn't it?
And do you know what the irony of this discussion is? I started just now by saying I'm a technology sales leader, but I'm not necessarily a technologist. And whilst I've got Copilot, this just brings it back to the fore of just kind of forcing myself to spend a little bit more time, because just talking about, I know we're not spoken about specifics, but it just makes sense, right?
Oh, it does.
But you talk about, that's a really good point, because we're so busy in our days. You've actually got to carve out time to find the time to do the train. I know what your calendar's like. It's absolutely insane. I could barely find time to talk to you, but
I could barely find time to get you. We're away and I could barely find time to get you in.
It's difficult to carve that space out, but if you make the time and do it and prioritize it, it's a game changer, and then you'll have that time going forward.
I went to one of your technical team earlier on today to ask a question. A client phoned me today and went, I've got this problem. I was like, okay, I don't know the answer to that, but from about 3 meters away, I can see the person that probably will have. Let me go and have a chat to them. Went and stood with them when we were outside and I went, this is my problem. And they're like, You can do that. I don't know off the top of my head. Hold on. Pulled out Copilot, went, oh yeah, that's how you do it. There you go. And it's like, it's instantaneous. I've now been able to help a client. I'm not back in the UK. I'm here. I made a phone call. Yeah, you're going to do this. Oh yeah, perfect. Thanks. Done.
Copilot finds all my documents for me. I don't go searching for anything now. I just ask it to go grab me the thing.
Yeah, I used it. So I've been away recently on holiday and I used it for my email. I came back and I was just like, I hadn't looked at my email at all while I was away on holiday because I have 2 small kids and I try not to work when I'm away because my partner doesn't like it. And it's fine. I understand that it's time with the kids. So I just used Copilot when I came back and just went, okay, summarize everything that I've missed while I've been away. What's crucial? What's important? And what do I really need to get back to like now? Yeah. And it just went, there you go, do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
so there you go. That's where my fear still kicks in. Like, is
it going to get everything?
Is it going to get? Because for me, because like the stuff I get emailed about all sorts of stuff, and like I don't think I'm. So that's the only bit that I haven't quite got. I do that, but I also then go in and check everything anyway because I'm a bit nervous about
it. It's the trust, isn't it?
It's always been right, but at the same time, it's just good to just double check.
We're human, so it takes. I know for me, it takes me a while to trust any technology that is actually doing what it's meant to do.
But to be fair, it's doing it like it
does.
Doing it.
Yeah, it does. What sort of trends do you guys see? Because obviously you've got thousands of partners in the EMEA now across the world globally, tens of thousands. I'm going to say I don't know the numbers, but
37,000 partners.
37,000, yes, 37,000 partners globally, with tens of thousands of businesses that they look after. Is there any trends that you see that like small to medium-sized businesses make mistakes or missteps that they make that if they didn't, they'd be in a better place?
I mean, I think we've just covered probably the largest trend at this point in time in
Copilot, AI,
Copilot. I think automation and the need for automation is huge within an organization. And I don't actually think you can have an automation discussion without linking it to AI in some way.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, in terms of mistakes, I mean, you asked a question earlier, I'm not sure if we were on air or off air at that point in time, around you've been in business 16 years. You ask yourself the question, would you do things differently now compared to when you set up? I've asked that question to hundreds of if not thousands of partners in my 10 years in industry. And I've not met a single partner that has said that they wouldn't do anything differently now. Like everybody's learned through that, right? Yeah. So I think in as much as Pax8's role in the channel is to help inform and guide, we've got that scale of being able to work with 37,000 partners, surface that information up. We've got 600,000 end users or SMBs we're sitting on a repository of some pretty impressive data, right?
It's a good amount of data.
And so we can then use that data to help inform both Pax8 and our partners and their customers in terms of how to make those decisions.
100%.
So look, I think automation is a big topic now.
Cybersecurity, obviously.
Cybersecurity as well. And cybersecurity is a really interesting one as well. There are 3,000 cybersecurity vendors out in the ether. Pax8 doesn't have those yet. But our role and the role of an MSP is to help our customers cut through that, right? Because you could become inundated with all of these different vendors saying, hey, we've got the hottest technology. Oh, we've got the best price, but we've got the best feature. Our role in the channel
on a daily basis
is to rationalize that, right?
It's ridiculous.
Cyber, automation, AI. And then what I would also say, leaning into the piece around diversity in the business, is I think we've all got a responsibility, and it sits outside of business. In my opinion, it actually starts with education and government policy, but we also need to be thinking about diversity within the workplace. Today, we're talking about kind of male and female and anything in between that, but we also need to think about different backgrounds, races, creeds, religions, because it's like anything, right? I think a tapestry of different thoughts and ideas and beliefs can drive a better and more connected fabric of society.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. So I think for me, one of the mistakes that I see often, like I said before, I'm the lawyer, so they tend to bring me in too late. But I think that too late is in like, it's not something you spend money on early on, right? Because, we're not cheap, funnily enough. Yeah. But for me, it's believing that you're too small to think about automation and scale, and that you're waiting to get to the certain stage. You're waiting for that to really feel that friction before you do it. Yep. It is so much easier to implement the changes you need to make and start with that in mind so that you are building it into what you do. Because when you're small, it's easy to transfer that over to a scalable process.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think they wait too long to start making these bigger decisions, and they should build it in from day one.
That's a good point.
If I can give an example of that, we've got a very broad array of partner types, and we're starting to attract some larger, more acquisitory partners. And I was recently speaking to a couple of partners who've got different acquisition strategies. Some partners that are acquiring one company a year, other partners that are acquiring one a quarter, and some even more than that.
Yep.
Some of them kind of take a hands-off approach and think, oh, we'll deal with that at some point in the future. Others recognize the fact that the bigger they get, the more complex the organization becomes.
exactly.
The need for
Harder
automation
it is
needs
to
to
change it.
It needs to happen
after
there,
it's
right?
grown, right?
And look, you're going to make mistakes along the way in terms of how you do that. But crucially, with any proficient organization, it's being able to take a step back and think what worked, what didn't, and then continue to pivot as you move through that journey. So I think, to what you said, doing that early, I know it might be scary, might be a little bit daunting, might be a little bit costly or complicated, but you will thank yourself in the long run by doing it now and recognizing the direction of travel.
I've had so many conversations and onboarded so many clients who have not done stuff at the beginning. They've come to us and they're 20 users, 15 users, they've grown, they've got different departments now, and they haven't got some of the basics in place to try and change that culture afterwards, and to try and change that mindset of those users afterwards to go, no, this is how it needs to be done. Because humans like the easiest way to do stuff, right? We will circumvent. I had this morning. We had 1Password in talking about cybersecurity, and human beings will find the easiest path of least resistance to do something, right? So you could put a load of changes in, you go, so for us, cybersecurity is a big thing. We do a lot of cybersecurity stuff for our clients, and we go into companies and it's like, they have nothing in place. It's like, okay, so the mindset needs to change of your users. You need to be using specific tools. You need to have this. And it's like, that's the biggest and hardest bit, is getting the humans to change their minds and actually go, oh no, well, it affects my work and the way I work. It's going to make my work a little bit more difficult. MFA was a big one for us. Oh no, I've got to spend an extra 10 seconds putting, it's like, yes, yeah. It's for the security of your company data.
Don't wait until it's gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And too many people do. The amount of phone calls we get, and it's like, we're not a client of yours, but we've been told to talk to you because we've had a breach. Yeah. And it's like, what do we do?
And you know what? That mindset shift is not just necessary within a customer. The role of the partner also has to change. We've seen kind of the value-added reseller. Hey, I'm going to be a place where you can buy your computers and you want to fulfill your licensing requirements, into kind of the MSP space, who are going to provide a managed service. The role of the MSP also has to be focused on understanding the customers that sit in front of them, understanding their business objectives, what are the outcomes they're seeking to achieve, and then providing them not just the technology, but the advice and guidance as to how to navigate 100%. That change. A lot of our customers, exclusively our customers, operate in the small and medium business. If they had the level of resource that an enterprise had, they could afford to make those mistakes. They can't. How many times have you had customers come to you where they've had a poor or subpar experience with another provider who they had a lot of trust in and said, hey, really sorry, but we're coming to you because we didn't listen and perhaps we should have. The other guys didn't do a great job. This is the challenge, and it just costs more and it takes more time. Does that resonate?
Tons it resonates. I've actually, without mentioning names, I've got a potential client who I am onboarding, who we deal with one of their businesses, but we don't deal with their head office. It's with a different IT company. They've come to us because their current IT company hasn't been able to fix something for 2 or 3 weeks for a key member of staff, that if they screw up, SLAs are out the window and there's a lot of money lost. My team, much credit to them, spent about half an hour and fixed the problem and solved it, because it's a 365 issue. We were in it, where we spend our lives living and breathing Microsoft and 365. Fix the issue, done, dusted. They're now more open and have asked for a conversation on what can we do going forwards for our other offices where they weren't before. Before they were like, So it's that mind shift. It's that change on what you can do.
Right, that trust is so important.
Since you're in legal, cybersecurity and legal, there is rumours, or there is noise that the UK government is looking to make Cyber Essentials a must-have for all companies, because it is a must-have if you want to work with the MOD
Right.
or with whoever
Sure.
else. And on the back of that comes cyber insurance and all the legal ramifications that come with that. How have you seen the shift between, because you've been in it for a while, between now with the amount of cybersecurity risks that are out there to the legal side? How's the blend coming along?
I mean, cyber still sits quite a lot outside of the legal team because it is so technical, and
Yep.
so we do a lot with the sort of the privacy and the AI compliance side, less so on the cyber. But you're right, there's a lot to think about, and there's having these baseline standards in place, that's table stakes, right? Of course you have to have these things.
100%.
Insurance, of course you should have these things. Like we've seen how data is going to be used, and we've seen that how damaging cyber attacks can be, and you have to be ready for it. And I think one of the most important things any business can do is implement an incident response plan, right? Because you need to be ready to act quickly when these things happen. So if it's not top of your list to sort out, then that's a concern in itself.
That's a great tip, because the amount of businesses that I talk to that don't have even policies in place. No policies in place.
And guess who can help you draft policies now? Copilot.
Yeah. Actually can. It will certainly get you started. There's no, I'm not going to rule out lawyers just yet.
No.
Yeah, and that was
We're not replacing you with AI yet.
It's all right. But it's a very good point, because it starts you think, to my point, that's what we need to start you thinking about what you need to do. And it needs to, biggest tip, has to be a hard copy on your desk. That's not a done policy until you can access it offline at any time.
Yes.
So
100%.
just little things like that you might wait too long to have something like that
and
in
then
place,
once
and
you
then
put
it's too
the
late.
policies in place, you then have to get all your team to change their mindset to follow the bloody policies, because they don't.
Right. It's education. It's not just having a policy on the shelf that nobody thinks about. It's having the education and implementation of that policy in real life. I cannot tell you how many businesses I've worked with in the past that fall into that trap of having a policy, but people don't know it exists.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important to do
And
that.
I've never read it or even have any way of monitoring who in our team has actually read this policy, who hasn't read it, that sort of stuff.
And there's a big difference between reading it and just scrolling all the way down and saying,
then just
I
going,
accept, right?
Yeah, but
100%.
almost, I don't mind, so long as you know it exists and you've got a high level, you don't need everybody to know every part of that policy on day one, but you need them to know it exists, and you need them to know where to look for it in real life when they need to. It's that kind of just-in-time learning, but if it's hidden away somewhere, then that's a problem. So it's having these policies, doing the education, just reminding people that it exists and having that. And that does get harder the bigger you get.
Yes.
But I think that's such a key part.
It's the mind shift again, as we said, isn't it? As you get bigger, it gets harder and harder to mind shift into something they need to. One final question. So you've just given, Michelle, a great tip for the listeners out there. A tip from yourself for the small business, for the MSPs out there, one thing that could help them.
Oh, so on the spot now. You've given a tip.
Michelle did it, as you see, without even being asked.
So actually, what I would say is the days of seeing that your regional or vertically aligned MSP as a competitor, see them as a friend. The opportunity now in a cloud-based economy is nobody's going to be great at everything, and we need to recognize those specialities, but the opportunity that we have to mutually serve the end user and give them a world-class digital experience is there. Long gone are the days, in my opinion, of kind of that very covetous competitive focus partner. You can't do it all. Community. There will be enough value and an opportunity to drive monetization of that customer over a 5, 10, 15-year period if you deliver a solution that helps them achieve their business outcomes versus thinking that you can do all things at once, because inevitably you'll fail. The customer have a bad experience, and we all know it from an MSP perspective. Acquiring new customers is tough. So think about the ones that you've got and think about how you can partner up at an MSP level to bring additional value and their crucially stickiness to that customer.
That's brilliant. That is, I think, one of the key points for that. It's one of the takeaways that I'm taking away from here. We do it, but it's one of the big takeaways I'm taking away from Beyond is the community spirit, and it is we're all in this together, and as long as we're all in the aim of giving the best solutions and service possible, then that's working with other people, right? That's why you have a sales department. That's why you have a legal department inside a company, is because not one person. I've sat there for many years multiple hats on my head as the director of a small company and having to be able to make sure I'm sales, I'm marketing, I'm everything else. It's not until you grow a bit bigger that you can push that into departments. It's the same with inside the community, right? If I don't do a service, go and talk to a partner that does a service and that service, and so they can do it right.
And then you both win, right?
And then everybody wins. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you very much
Fantastic.
for coming to the show.
Pleasure.
And we will see you later on.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, man.